Fatherhood. The film opens with Matthew Lodgelin, Kevin Hart, speaking at a funeral for his wife Liz, Deborah Ayorinde. His best friends Jordan, Lil Rel Howery, and Oscar, Anthony Carrigan, try to help, as does Matt's mother Anna, Thedra Porter, but he is inconsolable. On top of all this, Matt is now a single father to his and Liz's infant daughter Maddie, and almost nobody, including Matt himself, believes he is ready to take on those responsibilities all alone. A flashback shows Matt and Liz being told by the doctor that they are going to get their baby out sooner than expected via C-section. The procedure is a success, and Maddie is born a healthy baby girl. Liz's parents Marion, Alfre Woodard, and Mike, Frankie Faison, come to visit to see their granddaughter. Later on, when Matt tries to help a nurse take Liz to another room, Liz begins to have trouble breathing and starts to lose consciousness. Doctors rush in and send Matt out, but when he sees them again, the doctors say that Liz suffered a pulmonary embolism and has passed away. Anna and Marion stay with Matt to help take care of Maddie for the time being. Both of them think that Matt should move back to Minnesota to be closer to Marion and Mike, and so he can get a job and raise Maddie there, but Matt doesn't feel that he can uproot his life so easily. He works with Oscar at an ad agency, and their boss Howard, Paul Reiser, encourages Matt to take time off, even though Matt opts to try working from home. The first few months caring for Maddie are rough on Matt, with her excessive crying, constant puking, and uncertainty with how to work strollers and build cribs. He resorts to bringing Maddie to work since he can't find a babysitter, and both Anna and Liz's parents have gone back home. When Maddie won't stop crying, Matt tries a number of remedies, like rocking her to sleep, singing a lullaby, or feeding her, but none of them work. After attending a support group for new parents, he finds that playing white noise helps her stop and go to sleep. Later, Matt brings Maddie to work during a meeting with important clients. When he hears Maddie crying, Matt rushes out of the meeting to try and stop her. However, the clients are more than understanding and offer Matt tips like downloading a white noise app and utilizing skin-to-skin contact to keep Maddie soothed. Matt hires a babysitter for the night while he and Jordan go out to the club. When Jordan tries to bring Matt's attention to some women there, Matt gets upset since he is still not over Liz. Matt takes Maddie to Minnesota to spend time with her grandparents. They go to Liz's parents' home, where they have set Liz's old room up for Maddie in case she comes over. Matt later visits Anna and expresses his desire to be as great a parent as she was, and she assures him that he is. Years pass, and Maddie, now played by Melody Hurd, is about 4 or 5 years old. Matt has enrolled her at a private school, but they go against a dress code and have her wear pants instead of skirts like the other girls. She also frequently joins her dad when Jordan and Oscar come over to play poker. Matt takes Maddie to the park for a birthday party. There, he meets a woman named Lizzie, DeWanda Wise, who is there because Oscar and his wife Rose, Holly Gauthier Frankel, want to set Matt up with her. When they realize what is going on, they just play along with it and engage in natural conversation. She tells him that she is an animator for a show called Lucky Jim, which Matt says Maddie is a fan of. Turns out he was unaware that Lucky Jim is not a kids program, as it is about a perverted leprechaun named Jim who always gets lucky. When Matt sees an episode, he declares Maddie can't watch it anymore. Maddie is teased at school by the boys for wearing pants, which gets to the point where the school's head nun has to tell Matt about the dress code. When going to buy new clothes for Maddie, she tells him she wants Batman boys' underwear instead of ones for girls. Matt later agrees to go out with Lizzie. They have a good time together and end up sharing a kiss. They eventually start dating consistently until Matt decides it might be time for Maddie to meet Lizzie, especially since Maddie has felt a bit upset over not having a female figure in her life. After a day at the carnival, Matt introduces Maddie to Lizzie, who tells the girl that she can call her Swan instead. Soon, Maddie takes a liking to Lizzie. The next day, Matt drops Maddie off at school and rushes off to have sex with Lizzie. At school, the boys tease Maddie again when she starts to wear a skirt and they see her wearing boys' underwear. When she tries to jump off and tackle one of the boys, she hits her head and gets a nasty gash on her forehead. The school tries to reach Matt, but he eventually checks his phone and rushes to the hospital. He tries to take Maddie away, but the doctors say that she needs stitches. Matt tries to decline since it's the same hospital where Liz died in, and he doesn't trust the doctors there, but he relents and lets them work. Feeling bad over neglecting Maddie, Matt breaks things off with Lizzie. At work, Howard tells Matt that he wants to send him to Croatia for a job. He prepares to take Maddie to Minnesota to spend time with her grandparents, but she starts to get mad at him for breaking up with Lizzie and for not letting her see other family. When Maddie gets to Marion and Mike's home, she asks Marion what her mom was like. Marion says that she was strong and smart, just like Maddie. Matt later sees that Marion wants Maddie to stay with them more long-term, which Maddie seems more open to, but Matt thinks that Marion is just reminding him that he's making too many mistakes on his own with her, and he tries to take Maddie to go, even though she wants to stay with Liz's parents. Matt then realizes he isn't keeping Maddie happy, so he agrees to let her stay there for now. While Maddie sleeps, he expresses to her his fears about raising her on his own. Matt returns home alone and is later told at work by Howard that he is retiring and recommended Matt for his old job. Matt is thankful, even though this means he might be seeing Maddie even less. Even Jordan and Oscar can see that her absence is making Matt feel worse. While going through her room, he finds a necklace from Liz that Maddie had been desperately searching for earlier. When Matt and Oscar head to Croatia for the job, Matt thinks about Maddie too much and decides to bail on the trip to return to her. She hugs her dad, and he gives her the necklace. When it is time to go, he bids farewell to Marion and Mike, the former tearing up as she mentions how happy Matt made Liz. Matt and Maddie then to go Lizzie's house, where he apologizes to her for how things turned out. She forgives him and agrees to join him and Maddie for ice cream. During the credits, Matt brings Maddie back to school just for the rest of the year, where they are allowing her to wear jeans, and he shows up in a skirt to make her feel better. After his wife Liz passes away, Matthew Lodulin is left to care for their infant daughter Maddie all alone. He receives help from his mother and in-laws, plus best friends Jordan and Oscar, even as Matt finds new struggles to deal with. As Maddie gets older, Matt deals with issues like her going against the school's dress code and her not having a female figure in her life. Matt starts dating a woman named Lizzie, who even Maddie takes a liking to, but after Maddie is injured at school, while Matt went off to Lizzie's house, he feels like he neglected her and breaks up with Lizzie. Things get more complicated when Matt realizes Maddie is not happy where they live right now and would be better off living in Minnesota with Liz's parents. Matt eventually prioritizes Maddie's happiness first, which includes her wanting him to be happy, so he reconciles with Lizzie and she joins him and Maddie for a day out.